Hey, it's Big T. Today I'd like to illustrate a little bit about depth control when Euronymphing. That's one of the main benefits of the technique is you can adjust depth during the course of your drift. Now, the easiest way or most common way of adjusting the depth of your drift is simply by raising or lowering your rod tip as you're connected to your flies. But another great way of doing this is to change the angle of your leader during the course of the drift. A shallow angle entry will allow you to stay high in the water column. You can alter that all the way to a very steep angle of entry to get down to the bottom of the river. If this is our river bottom and this is the top of our river, and I make my cast, if I want to maintain and keep that in the highest part of the water column, then I'll simply try and maintain that shallow leader angle from rod tip to flies by beginning to track my rod downriver at the beginning of the drift right when the flies land. I'll also probably need to move my rod and track my rod downriver just slightly faster than the current of the water in order to keep it up and high in the water column. Now, if I want to go to the middle of the water column, I'm simply going to make this same cast. I'm not going to begin to track my rod downriver until I've allowed those flies to pendulum slightly downward, which is going to change that leader angle from shallow to intermediate. At that point, I'll start tracking my flies downriver again, probably a little faster than the current in order to maintain that depth. Now finally, if we want to get to the bottom and fish the bottom, I'm going to make this cast, let the flies pendulum down to the bottom, at which time I'll have a very steep angle of entry from rod tip to flies following my leader down. Why do we do this? At any given time, fish may be feeding at the bottom, middle, or upper part of the water column, especially if we've got different stages of bug life occurring. Generally, your nymph stage, your larval stage, we're going to be at the bottom as they emerge. Oftentimes you'll find them feeding in the mid portion of the water column, and then as they grow into the adult stage of the life, they're going to be up in the upper part of the water column. So hopefully this is helpful and you get an opportunity to put it to practice.